no tomorrow.
Hey y'all, welcome to my channel or welcome back. If you are new here, thank you so much for joining us. If you are returning, you already know it. You are fabulous. All right, so today's video, this is another Christmas DIYs video. I'm super excited about it. I've got a couple things in here that just really turned out great, and I cannot wait for y'all to see these. I used a lot of different stuff from a couple different places, so these are not just strictly Dollar Tree or anything like that. These are just Christmas DIYs. I hope that y'all enjoy this video. If you do, please give it a thumbs up. It definitely helps my channel. Don't forget to share it with your friends and family and subscribe. Duh, that would be awesome. Plus hit that notification bell so that you will know each time I upload a new video. With all that being said, let's jump right in. Okay, so for this first one, I have got this Merry Christmas word that I picked up at Hobby Lobby. I believe it was $4.99, and then I know that it was like 50% off because they had 50% off their Christmas stuff last week. It's completely covered in glitter, but we're going to fix that. As soon as I saw this, I knew exactly what I wanted to do with it. Now, this frame and picture came from a yard sale that my Aunt Nanner was having, and I fell in love with this when I seen it, y'all. Look at the detail in this frame. This is gorgeous. Now, the picture had a lot of water damage to it, so I knew I wasn't going to be using that part. I strictly wanted the frame, and I'm telling y'all, it is stunning in real life. So I took the picture, laid it out on some foam board, and realized that it was exactly the same size as the foam board. Now, how lucky can you get? So I just had to draw a line across it and literally make one cut on this foam board to fit that frame. So I just laid it across the sign, took my little X-Acto knife. Now this X-Acto knife I got from Walmart. It is made by Westcott and it is tiny. I mean, it's perfect for stuff like this, but it's actually really, really good for, you know, a little more intricate, like detailed work. So if you're looking for something like that, Walmart has got these, and I'm telling you, it's tiny, tiny. Now, I took that foam board once I got it cut and placed it in the back of the frame just to make sure before we went any further that it was going to fit. I've got ivory chalk paint along with antique wax, and I'm going to start out, by painting the frame with the ivory chalk paint. We're going to completely transform this frame. I just wanted to freshen it up some. It was gorgeous like it was. I mean, it was already antiqued, but just wasn't my style as far as the color of it. So I just wanted to freshen it up and, you know, just give it a fresh paint and coat. I talked backwards just then, y'all. That's hard to do. A fresh coat of paint and really, you know, just give it a little TLC. So I added the antique wax once my paint was dry, took a rag, wiped it back off, just kind of smeared it around. I then took that ivory on my brush and went back over the top of the antique wax. And y'all, it just makes the prettiest dad blame color. Oh my goodness. I cannot wait for y'all to see this in the end. I mean, it just turns out so good. All right, so I have got that Merry Christmas word, and I just took some of my wire snips and snipped off the little hanger part that was on here. This was made of plastic, so it was very simple to do, super easy, no big deal. Got that ready. I've got hammered metal in silver. I've also got black chalkboard paint and white chalk paint by Waverly. Also Arteza Mars Brown. Lord, that was a mouthful to get all those out. Anyway, so I start out with the hammered metal, and I'm just going to paint this entire word. I want to cover up all of that glitter. I still want it to be silver, obviously, because what we're going to do is galvanize this word, and it's so simple to do, guys. Anybody can do the galvanizing. Please don't let it intimidate you because it is so simple. So you're going to cover it completely with your silver. Top to bottom, every nook and cranny, totally cover it with the silver. I then took my heat gun and completely dried it. I took some white chalk paint and just kind of made little spots here and there. Just kind of making little highlights just on different places. No rhyme or reason. There's no right way to do this. Just place it wherever. I then took some of that black chalkboard paint and I began to kind of outline the word. So with the black, I wanted to mainly hit the edges of the word so it would really stand out in the end. But I just kind of went all over the place with it also, just like I had done with the white. But I did make sure and go around the outside edges. Yeah. Then we're going to take the paintbrush that had the silver on it, get a little more paint on it, and then simply stipple over the top. Tap, 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 all over the top of it. And that just simply blends it in, and it blends it perfectly. Check it out. I'm telling y'all, it's so simple to do. I then took that Mars Brown and I began to go around the edges and just kind of hit it here and there. And that was to give it the look of rust. So simple to do. Check it out, y'all. I mean, it is so stinking simple to do. And if you get too much, just go back with your silver. Once that dried, this is what you're left with. Is that not cool? Okay, so I put my back in my frame. Got that all nice and secure. Made sure it was back in there right. I'm going to flip it over, place my word down, kind of get my placement of that, and then I have got all my florals. So I took some lamb's ear from Walmart, some red mums from the Dollar Tree. Oh, and I also glued my word down. So I took some hot glue, glued my word down. I'm then going to go back in with my heat gun and clean up any of the little hot glue strings. Now for the florals. I'm going to take some lamb's ear from Walmart, some of the frosted berry stems from the Dollar Tree, and then also some of the red mums from the Dollar Tree. I'm just going to cut all of that down and simply wrap it up and twist it up with some wire. The wire I used came from the Dollar Tree also. As you can see there, I simply twisted it up with some wire. I did not want to have a lot of hot glue going on here because I was strictly gluing to the foam board. I don't want to glue anything to this frame. I want you to be able to use this frame for years to come. So I didn't want anything glued directly to the frame. So as you can see there, it's right at the edge, but it is actually glued to the foam board, not the frame. That's all I did to this, and I stinking love it. The frame absolutely stole the show with this one, y'all. It is gorgeous. Plus, it was my nanner's, so that just makes it even more special. I love this one. Okay, so for this one, I've got this ornament that I picked up at the Hobby Lobby. Now, I think it was like $1.99 or $2.99. I can't even read that tag, but anyways, I know it was 50% off because it was part of the Christmas stuff. And then this one I found on the clearance, and it was $1.74. And my daughter's name is Gracie. So this was just too cute. I had to throw this in there. This one is not a Christmas DIY, but I'm going to do it at the same time. So I figured I would just show y'all both. And then I've got some beads that I got off of Amazon. I'll have those linked in the description box. I have got a roll of baker's twine that I believe was sent to me in like a goodie box, actually. And then I have got some gray yarn that I picked up at the Dollar Tree. I have flag red and elephant gray apple barrel paint. We're going to be using that. Now, I started out, I put 20 of the like medium-sized beads. Yes, I spilled them everywhere. Duh. Anyways, of course I did. Something always has to happen. Anyways, so I separated these out and put them in little snack bags. That was just the easiest way for me to like keep them separated and, you know, whatever. Plus, this is the way that I was going to paint them. I actually took the smaller sized ones and put those into another set of the snack bags. So I had 10 in those and then 20 in the medium size. I took my water bottle and wet down the beads. Now, I got this water bottle off of Amazon. I'll have it linked in the description box. I really like it. I took my paint and I just squeezed out just a little bit, like into the baggie itself. Both colors, obviously in the separate bags. Y'all can see what I'm doing. But, and then I just rolled it around on the table and like squished it together. Just got that paint on there really, really good. Made sure that they were like super coated. I dried it with my heat gun. Well, now is when I realized that it had just kind of stained them. So apparently I had added too much water. So I just added some paint to the bowl and mixed it around. I wanted these beads to be a little more opaque. That was kind of the look I was going for. So once I got all that together, I've got everything painted, everything's dry, we're ready to go. I'm going to take that gray yarn, double it up, and actually pull it through the cross and then make a loop. That way I can string my beads straight down on there, and then I've still got 2 strands to work with. Hopefully y'all can see what I'm doing. But I just added 3 of those gray beads and then 1 of the natural, raw wood. And then I opened it up so that I would have 2 strands to work with. And I just beaded it on each side of that evenly. And then I tied that together to make a little circle. Ain't that cute? Oh, y'all. I love this. And like I said, I was making this for my daughter. So I wanted to share that because I was making it at the same time that I was doing this one. So anyways, with the Christmas one, back to that one. So I took that blessed and I looped it through there the same way that I had done the other one. But this time I just put my beads on in a straight line. We're going to put a tassel on the end of this. So I just kind of played around with the colors and then added it on there. Now, I took that twine, I started to wrap it around the snack bag box, and I did this about 30 times, I believe. I snipped that off, and then I'm going to snip off a little bit more of that twine, and we will use that piece in just a minute. We're actually going to take the end of the beaded garland, and we're going to slide that through underneath while I've still got the twine on the box. Just pull that through, pull it through the loop, and then that way we can tie a knot at the end of that, and it is now attached to our tassel. So what I did here, I just tied it off, tied a knot. Now, I do apologize that this was a little bit off camera, and I tried to zoom in so that y'all kind of see what I was doing, but all I did was tie a double knot there, y'all. I snipped it off, and now it is attached to the tassel. I then took that other piece of twine that we had snipped off earlier and tied that around the very top of this set of loops that we've made. Just tied it off about 1 inch down, I'd say. And I kind of went around it a couple times. Like I would loop my twine around it, tie a knot, kind of loop it around again. Just to really emphasize that knot at the top. Just to make sure that this really looked like a tassel. I then cut it in half at the bottom. That way, now you've got your strands. I kind of straightened those out, made sure I got everything straightened out and brushed down. And then I'm just going to cut it across the bottom so that everything is even. And now you've got the tassel. So stinking cute, y'all. These turned out so good. Okay, so I just wanted to hop on here really quick and invite you to subscribe to my channel. If you are new here, welcome. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. I hope that you enjoy yourself. I hope that you have a good time while you watch this video. I don't want my videos to just be tutorials. I want them to be an uplifting, just positive experience for my viewers. So if you are new here and you enjoy a positive vibe and just hanging out with an old girlfriend, making some crafts, then definitely hit that subscribe button and become part of this little family that we have. All right, let's jump right back in. Okay, so for this one, I have got a tobacco basket that I picked up from Walmart. Now, I believe this was like $5.95, something like that, less than $6. I've also got some more of those red mums that I pick up from the Dollar Tree. Now, I always get extra of these every year because I just think they're gorgeous for Christmas time. And then I have got some of the lamb's ear that came from Walmart. And then I have a pick of the frosted berries. And I believe this came from the Dollar General store, actually. But you can always get those at Dollar Tree also. I have a few of the small wreath rings from the Dollar Tree. And then I've also got some of these gorgeous ribbons that came from the Dollar Tree, and those were actually sent to me in a goodie box. Now, the first thing I did was just get all of my florals ready to go on the wreath ring. So I cut everything apart. I took my wire cutters, cut everything apart. I then began to just twist these onto the wreath ring. I didn't have to glue anything. I just was able to literally put it on there, twist it on, and then I took zip ties to hold it into place. Super simple. Now this one's gonna go super fast because I honestly did not realize that I was filming this in time lapse, but I did. But I still wanted to share this with y'all because it was just so easy to make and so inexpensive. Now I added my florals in the same way I did the greenery. Same thing for the berry pick. I just popped those in different little spots. I'm then gonna take my ribbon, wrap it around the wreath ring, around the back of the tobacco basket, and just tie it off. How stinking pretty is this thing? All right, so for this one, I have got 2 jars that I picked up at the Dollar Tree. I love the design that was on these. It just made an extra element to it, you know, just a little bit different. I've also got a set of the Tumbling tower blocks, and I got these during Christmas last year, so that's why it's the big box. And then I've got these cutie ornaments that I picked up from Walmart. These were $1.98. Too stinking cute. They look like the Ray Dunn, and so I just fell in love. Now, the first thing we're going to do is build a tray of sorts for our jars to sit on. So I started out taking the Tumbling tower blocks and gluing 5 of them together and just making like sets of 5. We're actually going to have 3 sets of 20. But I started out, like I said, doing it in sets of 5. And then I was like, okay, that's silly. Just go ahead and make all 20 of them, boom, in a row. And then we've got that. So that's what I did the second and third time. Anyways, you know how it is with crafting. You just kind of learn as you go. So once I got the 3 sets of my 20, I'm then going to add some hot glue to the back. I just added it in between the 2 sets. That way some would kind of ooze down in the middle and I could squeeze it together pretty good. And then I added some of the jumbo craft sticks to hold that into place, just to kind of give it a little more extra support, knowing that it was going to really hold it together. Same thing for the other side. I just flipped it over. I barely had any hot glue that really oozed out, but I was able to get that off with just my finger. I mean, literally just wiping over the top of it, and that came right off. I have got some thumbtacks, some of the faux leather ribbon from the Dollar Tree, and then I've also got some of these wood beads. Now, I get these off of Amazon. I believe these are like the 22 millimeter size. I'm not totally sure, but I'll have a link in the description box for these beads, and y'all can check those out. But I just added one to each of the four corners on the bottom of our tray. Flipped it over. Now we're ready to paint. So I took some of the ivory chalk paint, got a little on my brush, wiped it back off on a baby wipe, and then simply dry brushed this. And if you have never dry brushed or painted the tumbling tower blocks, you're in for a treat because they take paint so well. It turned out really, really good. Now, I took that same paint and painted both the jars. I did give them like 2 good coats, I believe. I wanted it to have a really good coat before we went back and distressed. So, yes, 2 good coats. As you can see there, use my heat gun just to dry it, get it good and dry, make sure everything was nice and even. And then I'm going to take a baby wipe and go back and distress these. So I'm just wet distressing them. Literally just taking that baby wipe and rubbing across there in different spots, mainly on the design that was actually on the jars, but also in a couple other spots, just to give these a distressed look. That's all I was going for here. I'm then going to cut off my ribbon. I've got 2 different ribbons, both from the Dollar Tree. Well, one I think maybe was from Hobby Lobby, but I just cut that ribbon off, tied it in a knot, snipped off the ends. I did dovetail the ends, and then I glued one of those ornaments right to the middle of it. Same thing with the other one, just simply tied my ribbon in a knot. I didn't tie a bow or anything, just strictly a knot. Popped on one of those ornaments. I'm then going to add some handles to our tray. So I snipped off a little bit of that faux leather ribbon and just glued it into place. I'm then going to take the thumbtacks, and I cut off the actual point that was on the thumbtack and then just glued the head of it to my ribbon. That way it looks like it's like nailed in, but obviously it's not. I added some Christmas stems into these from the Dollar General store, and these are so stinking pretty. All right, last but not least. So for this one, I've got 2 of the farmhouse, like barrel looking planters from the Dollar Tree. These are too cute. Now, I did get these back during summer. And then I have 7 of the Dollar Tree Christmas trees. These poor little trees, y'all. We're going to make something happen, though, I promise. So I've got plaster chalk paint by Waverly. And I'm just going to give both of these planters a really heavy dry brushing. They take paint awesome. They're really neat to work with. Okay, now the trees. So this is actually one of the Dollar Tree trees, and it actually does not, to me, look that bad. I think it's pretty cute like this, but I didn't like come up with this. Wendy over on White Sparrow Living, y'all, if you haven't ever seen her channel, you're definitely missing out. Let me just put that out there because she's awesome and she's such a sweet spirit. Just, oh my gosh, yes, she'll take your heart. But she actually did one of her DIYs, and I was watching the video, and she took these trees and just was like, okay, all you're going to do is take the limbs and bend them downwards and then flip them out like you're flipping out your hair. You know, like you would flip out the end of your hair. But you just bend the limb down and then flip it out. And I always bend down that top one because it's like 2 foot long. I don't know what they were doing there when they made these trees. But anyway, so I did 2 of those trees just like that. I took the plastic piece off of one of them. I left it on one. I took it off of one. And then I just joined the 2 trees together. I took zip ties. Just going to zip tie them up. Pull them tight. I believe I did 2 per extra tree that I added, because you'll see here we're going to continue to add these trees. So I just, once I got that, I snipped off the zip ties, fluffed it out a little bit, and I just kind of worked with it as I went. And I had a couple of the actual limbs fall out of the tree, which was okay because I just covered up the zip ties with the ones that fell out. But, you know, anyways, but if you work with these trees, you can really make something out of them, honestly. I'm going to show you, like, they just a little bit of work and you can really make cute trees. I've actually wanted a little set of trees to sit over in the corner in my house and maybe not just have them only for Christmas, you know, like leave them out for the rest of winter or whatever. So these were perfect. So I just continued to add those trees all the way up until I had added 4 trees together. So when you added the first 2 together, you kind of added it, you know, about halfway in between each other. That way you've got some to add on to for the next one. Does that make sense? I hope that you guys saw what I was doing. But look at this tree. It's not that bad, y'all. So I took some of the garland from the Dollar Tree and I just wrapped that around the inside just to kind of make it look a little fuller and, you know, give it a little more shape. I used some of the little garland ties just to fill in any spots that I was missing. Now, when I went to put it in the planner, I actually pushed it plumb through the side of the darn thing, y'all. So I ended up deciding to just chunk the legs. I was going to cut them down a little more, and then I was like, nope, forget it. I'll just chunk them. I'm going to put some foam in here, and then we'll just work with that. So I took some of the styrofoam from the Dollar Tree, the 2 little discs. I just glued the 2 together because, you know, it comes in 2 pieces. I just glued it together and then glued that to the bottom of the planner. Super simple. But yeah, I was really shocked with these trees, y'all. They really turned out pretty awesome. I added a really good amount of hot glue to the center of that foam just to kind of, I wanted it to start to melt a little bit. That way I could push the center of that tree right down in it. I just jabbed it right down in there. Y'all, I took these trees outside and sprayed them just real lightly with some white spray paint, and check them out. Oh my gosh. I am definitely in love with these.
There's my baby dogs. There's the baby dogs. Yes, those are my audience. Yes.
So if you didn't know, this is actually where I do all my filming, like as far as the end result, final reveals, all that. I've brought everything out and I have a little audience. Look here, Booker. Booker. Oh my gosh, y'all, look at his eyes. Oh, they are all so precious.
Are you good babies? Are y'all good babies? Yes, those are pretty babies. Yours is pretty babies. I love them baby dogs. I love them baby dogs. Them is so pretty baby dogs.
Oh, I just thought y'all might enjoy this a little.